The trees had no right to feel this familiar. 20 years had passed since I last set foot in these woods, yet the moment our boots crunched onto the pine needle path, the old weight settled back onto my shoulders like a second skin. My friends laughed ahead of me, Mike cracking jokes, Sarah snapping photos, Tom complaining about the bugs, but I couldn't join them. I'd felt the eyes on me again. The same eyes that had watched me from the dark tree line when I was 12 years old. We were on what they called our reunion camping trip, a long overdue weekend in the remote forests of northern Wisconsin. I'd tried everything to get out of it. Work deadlines, a fake illness. In the end, their enthusiasm wore me down. How do you explain that a monster has been stalking you since childhood without sounding insane? It began one bitter February night at my grandparents' old cabin. I woke to the sound of something scraping against the frost-covered window. Slow, deliberate, not wind. I crept to the glass and peered out. There, standing motionless among the snow-laden pines, was a figure, tall, far too tall for any man. Gaunt like it hadn't eaten in decades, its limbs unnaturally long and angled wrong. Antlers, or what looked like antlers, tangled with dead branches, rose from its head. It didn't move when it saw me. It simply stared. When I screamed, my father came running. By then, only tracks remained in the snow. Strange, elongated prints that the adults dismissed as a deformed deer. But the deer never explained why I kept seeing it after that. Glimpses at the edge of the yard. The sound of heavy footsteps circling the house at night. Whispers that sounded like my name carried on the wind. My family moved to Chicago when I was 15. The sightings stopped, the nightmares faded. I told myself it was over, a child's overactive imagination, until this trip. The first night around the campfire was almost normal. The flames danced high, sending sparks into the black sky. We roasted marshmallows and swapped stories from our 20s. I stayed quiet, nursing a beer and scanning the darkness beyond the ring of light. That's when I heard it, the first wrong detail. A branch snapping, then another. Not random forest sounds, a slow, measured pace. Circling our camp, I told myself it was a raccoon or fox, but the steps were too heavy, too deliberate.
"You okay, man?" Mike asked, noticing my stare.
Yeah, just thinking about how dark it gets out here.
Sarah laughed. "City boy, the woods are peaceful."
Peaceful. The word tasted like a lie. I barely slept in my tent that night. Around 3 a.m., I woke to the sound of breathing, not mine. Slow, rasping inhales from just outside the thin nylon wall. It paused whenever I held my breath, as if matching me. Listening. I lay paralyzed, heart hammering against my ribs until the first light of dawn filtered through the trees. When I finally unzipped the tent, there were fresh prints in the soft earth circling my sight. The same long, narrow impressions from my childhood. The stride suggested something that walked on 2 legs but wasn't human. I didn't show the others, not yet. The second day we hiked deeper along an old trail. The forest grew thicker, the canopy blocking most sunlight. Every so often I'd catch movement in my peripheral vision, a tall shadow shifting between trunks. When I turned, nothing. Just trees. But the feeling of being watched intensified, pressing down like the air before a storm. That evening, as we cooked dinner over the fire, Tom suddenly tilted his head. "Did you guys hear that?" We all listened. At first, nothing. Then it came. A low whistle, almost like a bird call, but wrong. Too deep, too human. It sounded almost like it was trying to form words. My name? No, couldn't be. Yet the sound slithered into my ears and settled cold in my gut. I suggested we turn in early. No one argued much. The mood had shifted. Inside my tent again, sleep wouldn't come. The wind picked up, rattling branches, but under the wind I heard footsteps again. Closer, and then softly, so softly it could have been my imagination. A whisper.
"Come out."
I sat bolt upright. The whisper repeated, carried on the breeze. Not aggressive, almost inviting. Sad, even. Like an old friend who'd waited too long. I couldn't stay in the tent. Grabbing my flashlight, I slipped outside, careful not to wake the others. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating nothing but trunks and undergrowth. I swept it in a slow circle, and there it was, standing 20 yards away at the edge of the clearing, half hidden by shadow and branches. The Wendigo. I knew the name from old local legends my grandfather used to tell, spirits of winter and hunger that stalked the northern woods. But this wasn't legend anymore. The creature was real. Emaciated body hunched slightly forward, ribs visible even at distance, skin pale and stretched tight like old leather. Its head was crowned with massive, jagged antlers that scraped against low-hanging limbs as it shifted. Eyes caught the flashlight beam and reflected back a dull, hungry glow, not red, but a cold, empty silver. It didn't charge, it didn't roar. It simply watched me with that same patient tilt of the head from 20 years ago. Then its mouth opened, too wide, revealing nothing but darkness, and the wind carried another whisper. My childhood nickname, the one only my family used, the one no one here knew. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over a root. "Leave me alone," I hissed into the night. My voice cracked. The creature took one slow step forward, its long fingers flexed at its sides. Not threatening, almost beckoning. The dread that flooded me wasn't just fear of attack, it was deeper. A bone-deep loneliness, a hunger that echoed in my own chest. For a terrifying second, I understood. It didn't want to devour me. It wanted me to become like it, to join the endless watch in the trees. I turned and ran back to camp, crashing into my tent. I woke the others in a panic, babbling about an animal, a bear, anything to get them moving. They were annoyed, sleepy, but the fear in my voice must have convinced them something was wrong. We broke camp at first light, packing quickly under a gray sky. As we hiked back toward the trailhead, the forest seemed to hold its breath. No birds sang. Even my friends felt it now, their conversations subdued. Halfway to the cars, Sarah stopped suddenly.
"Did you hear my name?" she asked, voice small.
I hadn't, but I knew what it meant. We reached the vehicles without further incident. As I climbed into the passenger seat of Mike's SUV, I allowed myself a shaky breath of relief. We were leaving. It was over. But as we pulled away down the gravel road, I glanced in the side mirror. There, keeping perfect pace with us through the dense trees, loping with unnatural grace on its long legs, was the figure. Antlers catching fleeting sunlight. It didn't get closer. It didn't need to. It simply watched me go, patient as it had always been. I know now it never stopped stalking me. The city never saved me. It was only waiting for me to return to the woods. And now that it's confirmed, I can see it. I wonder how long until I hear the whispers outside my apartment window.